Education has been a critical part of the American Islamic community since its inception. Muslims have been coming to America for centuries, and although many have thrived in their new environment, there has always been a struggle to maintain their identity while also trying to assimilate to the American way of life. A big part of this problem is trying to teach their children proper Islamic values in a society in which they are a minority, where they become so swept up in their new environment that they forget who they are and where they came from. However, in light of this danger to their culture, the nationwide Muslim community instituted the idea of Islamic education. This allowed Muslim parents to educate their children about their culture while also ensuring that their beliefs are not lost in the great American melting pot.
A critical part of Muslim education is the schools that operate right alongside the mainstream public school system. All across the country, Muslim leaders have taken it upon themselves to establish special private schools specifically designed to cultivate an Islamic environment that can carry their values into the future. These schools offer many things that public schools cannot, namely the opportunity to learn more about their culture and raise students in an environment with children who share the same Muslim identity.
It's very important for them to find their identities. It's very important for us to to be part of that, instill in them the Islamic values, Islamic manners, make sure they identify themselves as Muslim Americans who are growing up here in the West. They know about Islam, they know about the language of the Quran. They are ready to face any challenges that they might face in this world.
Being in an Islamic school, you are a part of a community on a daily basis. You also don't have to deal with a lot of issues as far as you are accepted for who you are and for what you believe.
Everybody wants to teach kids to be successful and to do well. We also teach them how and why, you know what I mean? So it's a complete guide when you are taught the values throughout the day and you're conscious of God. So that's something that the kids can carry on with them throughout their lives.
And just here, there's a really nice environment. The kids, I feel like they have a sense of manners and respect. I mean, kids will be kids, but they really try and hard to be respectful and to be good kids.
Islam is a way of life, and these schools do everything they can in order to make sure that Islam plays a huge role in their day-to-day learning, something that just cannot be done under other circumstances.
Every class starts with a prayer. Every class starts with a recitation of a small chapter of the Holy Quran. The way the students behave, the behavior of the students, we always stress on Islamic behavior and Islamic values.
Islamic Studies is very important to us. We do it every day for 40 minutes. And then every day we learn Arabic because that's a language of our book. That's the original. It would be equivalent to a Christian learning Aramaic or Hebrew. So that's very important. Quran classes every day, and we also have the Arabic class every day.
In addition to Islamic studies, these schools take it upon themselves to integrate the common public school curriculum with their own beliefs. This is done by taking otherwise secular subjects like science or history and teaching them from a distinctly Islamic point of view. This ensures that the children are learning everything that public school children are learning, but are doing so in a way that affirms and builds off of their Muslim identity.
I feel like it's not just we teach like Islamic values in just Islamic studies or just even in Quran or Arabic. We really try and have it throughout every class as kind of a complete system.
If I'm teaching, for example, a lesson in science, I'll always make sure to integrate something about Islam in there. For example, if we're talking about matter and what is matter, I always make sure that the students give me something that has to do with Islam, that has to do with matter. So if I ask my students, what does matter have to do with Islam? And they'll tell me, oh, Allah, God created all matter.
However, although the American Muslim community has created a vast collection of Muslim schools that cater to a younger audience, there are surprisingly few Muslim high schools of the same caliber. Most of the Muslim schools in the country are incapable of providing a full K-12 experience for their students. This is in large part due to a widespread lack of resources necessary to maintain a school of that size, as well as the fact that Islamic schools have only really come about in the last 30 years. As a result, there are only 35 Muslim high schools in the whole country, thereby ensuring that most of the students who graduate from Muslim schools end up being absorbed in the American public school system at some point in their life. This leaves it up to the schools to instill such a strong commitment to Islam in its students that their faith will continue after they graduate.
We would like very much to have an Islamic high school. It's just a matter of money and planning, and maybe one day we will have that. I know people in Florida, they have high schools. I think also Virginia. But once you're in high school, you're in the accountable age. And so you should have known by then, right from wrong, how to act. Yes, it would be difficult, but they're considered adults. Two of my friends, they had to put both of their children in public high schools, and they did fine. They graduated, now they're in college. They still are holding on to their faith. They're still going strong.
In addition to Islamic schools, another critical part of a Muslim education in America is the traditional Sunday school. Much like their Christian counterparts, most mosques, such as the Somerset Islamic Center, hold specialized classes every Sunday for all young Muslims who seek to learn more about their religion and culture in addition to their traditional Friday services. Although these classes are smaller in size and lack many of the resources granted to private Muslim schools, they can accommodate children from a wide variety of age groups and can teach the lessons that they need to learn in order to live life according to the teachings of Muhammad.
The Muslim schools are right now in their childhood. They are growing. And the schools that we have in the mosques are where we are really, majority of our kids are learning religion in these schools. So our kids learn to be Muslims living in American society and follow the good teachings that Islam has taught them and try to portray being good Muslims.
They learn who they are, they get closer to God, they know about religion, they meet with lots of people that share the same concepts and same faith with them, so that helps them. They feel that they are not alone believing in something that others don't even know about it. So that helps them a lot when they come here.
The curricula for these Sunday schools bear many similarities with those of full-fledged Muslim schools, with Arabic lessons and teachings from the Quran and other Islamic texts making up a majority of the meetings. This has the benefit of teaching these things to children whose families are unable to send them to Islamic schools, and reinforcing them to children who are already enrolled in these schools.
The curriculum that we have a lot of books from different sources. Most of them were prepared by different like people with different backgrounds, so it depends to we like as persons we look at different books and then we decide that the book that will be the most suitable one to the level of the kids.
Mainly I teach them Quran, which is the holy book for Muslims. I try to I read it to them because it's written in Arabic, and most of them, even if their parents have Arabic as their first language, the kids don't, so it's a little bit hard for them. So I help them with reading it and pronouncing it properly. I try to interpret the meanings to them, and I try to help them to apply to their lives.
These classes are important because they teach spiritual guidance to children who live in areas that don't often have special Muslim schools. This is especially true in the American South, whose Islamic schools are located mostly in large cities, which are not accessible to many Muslim Americans who live in rural areas. In addition, because all Muslim schools are private schools, they often come with a high tuition rate that not all families can afford, so this provides a significantly cheaper alternative that allows Muslim children to learn more about their religion in a positive environment.
The Muslim schools are all private schools and they are expensive. We do have scholarships, but most of them do require the fees of a private school.
You don't want the kids to struggle and find their way without providing them at least with the basic knowledge, so that when they grow up, if they want to think in a broader way, then they have a background to lean on rather than to get the knowledge from anywhere else.
I mean, our kids, they spend most of their time in either in public schools or private schools over here, when religion is not discussed, almost never, unless they go to like an Islamic school, and the only Islamic school is in Lexington, in the neighborhood here, so there aren't any Islamic school around here. So we believe that, we want our kids to grow up knowing about their religion and making decisions in life regarding the religion. So we are not trying to enforce it on them, but we are trying to explain it to them so that when they make decisions in their life later on, they can make an intelligent decision based on what they learn.
And Islamic education is a critical part of the Muslim American community. Although many critics see it as just a means to perpetuate a religion that contradicts their own beliefs, it is really a means for young Muslims to become productive members of society while also building upon and expanding their sense of religious and cultural identity. Not only does it help prepare them for what life has to offer, but it also helps provide them with a moral compass they need in order to live fulfilling lives. As the future of America presses on, Islamic education will grow and expand to teach more and more students, thereby ensuring that Islam will continue to thrive for generations.
There's so many things that Islam encompasses. It's not a religion that you do once a week. It's a religion that just takes part of the whole day and night. But I think that's why it's important, is because the child can learn everything they need to learn before they're held accountable.
Islam is not just a religion, it's a way of life. And if these kids, as they grow up, learn to be the Muslims the way Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was, nobody would ever say Muslims are terrorists, but they would say good Muslims in streets. So that's where I hope all the Muslim schools will be taking our kids to.